Hey, what's up guys? Bloodthinny Born Tano here, and today, since Sony literally hates the idea of printing money by making Bloodborne 2, like Thanos but with brain damage, I just decided to do it myself. First I'm gonna see what I can do without any mods for all my console kings out there, and then I'm gonna inject this baby with all sorts of stuff for my PC princes. First thing you gotta do is make your favorite hunter, and mine is obviously Dog the Bounty Hunter, and surprisingly, he was very difficult to find a picture of without sunglasses on. Now that we've created our favorite hunter, we're almost ready to start blooding our born on everyone, but we need to get some Bloodborne-y looking clothes real quick. There's a handful of options that we can pick from, but my favorite is the Birdman look, and unfortunately that means I need to go all the way to Mount Gilmore. So I run around grabbing medallions, hoist them bitches up high, run all the way to Sage's Cave, and grab our outfit so now I won't look completely embarrassing. Tragically I can't get the pointy hat yet, but it does come with some claws that look pretty close to the beast claws, so we're gonna go test it out on that doo-doo head Patches, mostly so we can steal his pants. And he actually does happen to be in Bloodborne as well, but he was a tidbit more spidery in that one. And I don't know about you, but this is already looking a pretty Bloodborne-ified to me, especially with the armor and the dash ability, and if you turn the brightness all the way down, turn the HUD off, and cut the frame rate in half, it's basically the same thing. And since I already had the area unlocked, I went ahead and got the pulley bow to represent the repeating pistol, and if you're feeling a little arsony, you can go get some fire pots to represent the Molotovs. With all that in hand, I decided to go test it out on my first real boss, and with the quick step ability with some fast weapons, this slowpoke could not hit me. Margaret the Fellowman, more like Molasses the Slowman. I wanted to be a good hunter, so I made sure to use all the tools at my disposal and cover him with some baby oil and light him on fire a few times. I also purposely set every single fight at nighttime because, like my father's love, the sun is basically non-existent in Bloodborne. Before I get my next weapon, I wanted to get the Bloodhound Step, which is basically the cooler Daniel of Elden Ring dash abilities, and it looks exactly like the Hunter's Bone. But nothing in life is free, so of course I gotta kill one of these emo horse boys first, and I smacked him around with my dick beaters as much as I possibly could, but it just was not gonna happen quite yet. So instead, I bravely went to the spooky graveyard at nighttime just so I can farm these guys and steal this farming equipment. Another cool thing you can do in Bloodborne is be crippled, but you could also get a flamethrower, which is not an Elden Ring, but what you can do is snatch this here fancy reading device, give it to this turtle, and now you got yourself an invisible flamethrower. Immediately after that, I went to go face the God of Ricks, and I swear to Jason Bourne, aka the guy they named Bloodborne after, that I had to see if I had some sort of no-hit cheat on or something, because I was absolutely styling on this man. He simply could not hit me. I was just a blur to him. Quickstep is kinda OP, please don't nerf. Now my goal is basically just to keep killing bosses until I have enough strength and dex to use any of the weapons I want, plus I need to get to Malenia as fast as possible, because once I get to her and take her out, I can get her Great Rune, which will literally give you the rally system from Bloodborne, which basically means that once you get hit, you have a short period of time to regain some of your health back if you hit the enemy back fast enough. So I head out to go face a bunch of bosses, preferably Bloodborne themed. You want to see a hunter fight? How about the bell-bearing hunter instead? You could even use the same tried and true strategy of getting behind that dump truck he's packing and just keep stabbing him in his booty. Oh, and now you said you want to see the Blood-Starved Beast? Try this one on for size, big guy. The Bloodhound Knight. You ever heard of it? Oh, and now you're saying nice cock, dude, but where's the wet nurse? My brother in Christ, that is just the grafted Nissan. And you want to see the Witches of Hemwick. Why? Now that we're all buff, I head back to Volcano Manor so I can take out this fool who literally just has the Whirlwig Saw from Bloodborne. Then I farm these guys for a minute who kinda look like tiny little pocket-sized hunters, and they even give you a very Bloodborne-y looking weapon, plus they're right outside the Bestiality Sanctum. Coincidence? Probably. Now I need to take out one more Remembrance boss to get into the capital, and I chose Renala Mikihala, aka Rom the Vacuous Spider. Okay, hear me out. Yes, she is not nearly as spidery looking as Rom, I admit that, but there are very few enemies in Bloodborne that even use magic at all, especially ones that have a bunch of tiny little thems running around. And just look at the arena we're in, like, come on, tell me I'm not onto something. Harvard hung up, so I need this. And we had to take her wolf out, which if you put your glasses on is clearly just the watchdog of the old lords, but it's not really worth talking about because it was just a bloodbath. Now that they're gone, I can get into the capital and finally get my pointy hat, and I am looking mighty breedable if I do say so myself. Then I immediately decide to replace it with a new outfit that I need to kill some horses to get. 2 horses to be specific, without dying. And then the game is also like, hey, how about that, and 15 enemies with a couple giants as well. And I'm like, no thanks game, I'm full on enemies at the moment. And it's like, yeah, but how about that, plus this spooky ghost boss I can teleport to you whenever he wants. And you're being invaded. I eventually took out all 3 emo boys like I was in some sort of My Chemical Romance mosh pit, got their armor, and now I'm going for the Bone Ash set look. And you could either use the pointy hat or the mask, but sadly you can't use both unless you want to wear this and look completely unfuckable. I did go on a few more adventures and got a few more weapons and stuff like this Mantis Blade, which is probably the only weapon that kind of resembles a trick weapon from Bloodborne, but other than that, I guess there's no more messing around because I need to face Malenia and Cheese to complete this build. And this fight was, as the kids would say, more litty than an exposed titty on a biddy, but it was also really hard, like something that's like really hard. And if you stopped wearing sunglasses inside like a weirdo, you would have already realized that this is really just Lady Maria of the Clock Tower, with a lot less blood and a lot more scarlet rot. It took many attempts, but I eventually took her down, got her Great Rune, and now that I feel like I am the bloodiest born in all the lands, I need to go take out the Lord of Blood, aka that secret blood boss lady from the Chalice dungeons that only the people who were trying to get a platinum in Bloodborne would have ever fought. This man's blood levels admittedly are off the charts, but I also wanted to test if you could use the rally system to power your way through his special attack without the purifying crystal. And no, you can't. It doesn't even give you a chance. Still a really fun fight, and if there wasn't fire everywhere and it was a lot darker, this would pretty much look exactly like Bloodborne, since that entire game looks like it was sponsored by Big Gravestone. Now that the Lord of Blood has been dethroned, we can start adding some mods, and the first thing I'm going to add is a genuine antique hunter pistol. And you're probably like, hey, the guns in Bloodborne did not shoot that fast, but you forgot this is Bloodborne 2, so that means 2 times the fire rate. I actually could not get that particular gun to work with on my other mods because I have the stupid brain, but I did get this nifty little crossbow thing for your wrist, and we're going to get some even niftier stuff later on. I also ended up starting a new character, since now you can start with a hunter class just to see what it would be like, and yeah, it was a nightmare. I thought I used this mod called Things Go Bump in the Night, but I was clearly the epic trolled because it was actually just the Ohio at 3 AM mod. And that makes the simple act of running to the gate past all the meth heads downright spooky and difficult because everything is stronger than me. And the only person I managed to kill was this poor fella by forcing him to get a closer look at the ground, and then his pet jellyfish switched from crypts to bloods pretty much immediately. And of course, I didn't want to be the only one blooding all this born, so I got Goth Melanin, Goth Reno 911, and most importantly, I got my horse in on this as well. He has many options, but I stuck with the Sleep Paralysis Demon version and changed his name from Torrent to Pony Soprano. And with that, I can confidently say I truly have the exaggerated swag of a real hunter. Even with that, just getting through the gate was a huge pain in that weird lump under my armpit because there are so many enemies. And I know I could just ride through it, which I eventually did, but look at the madness waiting for you on the other side. This is truly the Dark Souls of Elden Ring. I've also added a bunch of other Bloodborne weapons, but they are spread all over the world and I have no idea where they are. Except I do, because I'm a little cheater. The closest one to me right now is in this peaceful village, and I could have just ran past everything and grabbed it and dipped, but I wanted to prove my worth in combat, you know? Plus, I'm pretty sure my man over here turned into one of them there fancy government spy balloons. Eventually I did get my loot, but it kind of just looks like a lame scythe, and I already have a mod that turns that into Ghermans Scythe from Bloodborne, which is mucho cooler. So instead I made a quick UE and headed towards this dungeon, since this is the only place I can get the scythe I need. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I kind of thought the dungeons were going to be normal, but no. They are absolutely full of monsters, absolutely wrecking me for an extended period of time. And for some reason I didn't look to see exactly where the scythe would be, so I had to slowly make my way through, trying to pick off everyone one by one, and there's just casually a Marinara boss hanging out down there, and then there's one of those twin ogre bosses just vibing down the hall as well. And after rubbing all 3 of my brain cells together to come up with some big brain strategies to get past these guys, I ended up getting surrounded by like 20 dudes, and not in the fun way, and I had some genuine fear and had to just keep running until I happened to find the scythe and yoinked it at the last second. And now that I'm looking fresh, just for fun, I wanted to see if I can just big dick my way through the main gate, and it was a monster mash, my guy. They just kept mashing me over and over. All the time, non-stop. This isn't fun anymore. And once I finally managed to make it to the top, there was another group, a gaggle of enemies that I could just not be bothered to face right now, because even this would have my boy Chucky Norrison on suicide watch. So I just ran to the top and took out a few more guys and totally LOL raffled shit and or pissed my pants when I saw the giant stomping another enemy for me. And at this point, I decided to make it my personal goal, no, my destiny, to take out every single boss with the word Hunter, Blood, or Born in the name, because that just makes sense to me, and I hate people named Hunter. But of course, I gotta look good while I'm doing it, and my next outfit is tragically in another dungeon, which was not fun to get through. In fact, I died to this man no less than 10 times. I was on a mission to find the Bloodhound Knight, and I actually had no idea where he was, but I got lucky and did a little hop skip down here and through this window, and he just happened to be waiting for me in plain sight, looking pretty burrito to the bull. So I took him out lickety-split, got his armor, which is really just German's armor from Bloodborne, and now that I look like a truck, I can go take out a bell-bearing hunter with confidence. Except this time, I used a mod to make him look all extra spooky scary, just like I did with the 2 fingers hand at the round table, and warning, if you're squeamish, please look away, because this will shiver the absolute heck out of your timbers. Okay, that wasn't as good as I thought it would be. Ah, much better. And you may not know that not only is Bloodborne filled with ferocious furries, but also aliens. And if you remember my criteria from earlier, I need to kill any boss with the word born in their name, and there just so happens to be one alienish boss that's also related to the Bourne family. So now I have a good excuse to pay Goth Ronnie a visit, and she asked me to serve her, and I said only if you spit on me, and then we headed out for some more harrowing adventures.
You're teasing me! Naughty, naughty!
And long story short, in a few enemy-filled caves later, we finally make it to this big ol' alien guy. And if I'm understanding the Bloodborne lore correctly, I'm like pretty sure it wants to get me pregnant, but I don't know, I can't read. Regardless, I said nah, double it and give it to the next guy because I need to go get a bigger gun for this job anyway. So I head to this castle real quick, absolutely wreck everyone here, super easy, no problemo. There is not way too many enemies all the time, very adequate amount. I'm actually kind of bored with how little enemies there are. And that's why I had to exploit the AI so I can get them to fall off these cliffs and get this one stuck on a rock right here like a big old dumb McStupid head. And there are actually some goofy goobers out there that think AI is going to take over the world. With that in hand, we could head back to our first Bourne type boss and give him a nice knuckle sandwich with a gun inside and presumably end this man's bloodline for good. Alright, time for another outfit and weapon swap, which is pretty much the same thing I was wearing earlier, except now 14% darker, and it also comes with the Crow Lady's actual weapons. Then I need to make my way through these tunnels, which was quite terrifying because I don't even know what that thing is. So now I can go take on some bloody boys, and there are surprisingly a lot of them, including the Priest of Blood, who admittedly is a few ranks lower than the Lord of Blood, but it doesn't matter, because I had to remind him that I bleed harder than anyone has ever bled before. Back from the hospital, and I admit this man does know his way around some blood, but it turns out he does have a weakness, and that's to front flips and getting literally sawed in half because you can't blood your way through that one. So I win. There's a ton more NPCs that fit the bill, but there was only one that really gave me a challenge. Still a really fun fight though because he's really fast, he's got a long range, but sadly you can't use the rally system whenever you're invading somebody, so that did make it a tiddlywink more difficult. But he is still nothing compared to Dog, the Bounty Lord of Priest Blood. Next we can take out some beastie boys, and my first victim is the Falling Star Beast, and I got a fabulous shot of him charging at me and then taking my hot load to his face, which of course sent him face first into the dirt. Also forgot to mention that I got the Tostitos mace from Bloodborne, which surprisingly you could actually do the lightning strike and it will also buff it with lightning just like in the real version of Bloodborne. And with that, I was able to get another cool shot of me casting down lightning directly from Zeus himself straight onto this man's forehead, and once again sent him face first into the dirt. And now I can go take on Daddy Beast himself, and I immediately start beating the absolute piss out of this man, and then I rub his nose in it and say, "No, bad dog." And other than that, it is nothing but a proper Bloodborne fight. You got the beast, you got the gray statues everywhere, you got the speed, the weapons, the armor, the rally system, the aggressiveness. It's all pretty neat. After I put him down, I decided to get one more set of armor, being Maria's armor. And I also got her weapons, but I kind of looked like George Washington or something, so I used the hunter hat instead. And then I went to go test it out on this man who was unlucky enough to have the words blood and hunter in his name, and finger. But while admiring this campsite, wondering if Hannah Montana might actually be Miley Stewart, a big old dragon swooped in. This was actually pretty awesome. The only part that sucked was that there are so many enemies in the swamp, but luckily he will kindly take them out for you like sometimes. The new dash ability also really helps to close the distance and avoid the fire breath, and it made it one of my favorite dragon fights. I would probably rate it 3 fire emojis out of 4 thick emojis. Then I figured since this is Bloodborne 2, I should go to the bloodiest place in the game, and that happens to be Blood Palace. Once I got past the dogs, spooky ghosts, and babies doing cartwheels, I made it to this cave, and it was pretty much pitch black in there, and I had no idea how many enemies there was going to be. And at one point, I see an enemy's health bar start to drain a little bit, and I decided to go check it out, and good God, it was literally monster soup in there. And as soon as they noticed me, it was over. But I'm no quitter, so I returned back stronger than ever and dropped down there so I can take out every single one of... Never mind. And while I'm here, I might as well rematch the recently dethroned Lord of Blood with all my new enhancements. And oh wow, look at him go. Just holy dang, man. Oh damn, this dude's real good. He just, wow, that was absolutely amazing. Okay, 1, I got a different mod for Maria's armor because it looks a lot better, and B, it comes with a gun, and triple, you can even sheath your weapon now. Oh wow. And before I can defeat the Elden Beast and become the Elden Born, I'm gonna have to rematch this lovely lady because she actually reminds me of Maria, except with a lot more bullshit. And obviously, this one was way cooler, maybe even possibly slightly easier since my dodge roll makes me dash a quarter mile mile at a time now, but it's hard to say. I was kind of being a total weenie in the first phase, so in the second phase, I just said screw it and went absolute Born mode on her, and she never saw it coming. Doing that, I was able to clap them cheeks without getting any Scarlet transmitted diseases, and now I can go take on the Elden Beast, but of course, I need to get through Rakamon first. This was another ball-tickling fight if I do say so myself, and everything might look a little bit different because I switched back to the Hunter pistol so I could actually parry her, which I am very terrible at, and the risk versus reward ratio is slightly off, but when you do nail it, boy, what a thrill. Eventually I do take her down and we can move on to the beast of all beasts and I can become the Elden Born. I did switch back to the other mods for this fight because I can't parry this man anyway and it's just more fun. I actually didn't know which ending I should go with for a while because one is all about the moon and stuff and Bloodborne does kind of have a hard on for the moon, but there is another one that has the word born in it, which is also just as compelling. But the moon one has Gothrani in it, so I chose that one. Actually, I did both because I wanted to see the Hunter and the Elden Throne and the other one does not show it. And special shout out to my top members being the mighty Mr. Swigadoo, Big Bus and Buck, the courageous Chris Sura, Judge Juno, and the gentleman's Grover Ring. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, especially if you made it this far, and have a great rest of your day. And subscribe if you want to see me beat Elden Ring as Gay Bowser next time. Peace.
Everyone died. The end.